What is up, Algebra 2? This is lesson 2.6, and our objective is to understand scatter plots and to find lines of best fit, most of the time using a calculator. So you have to understand, when we're working with data, with real-life situations, most of the time that data does not fit an exact line. And so whenever we graph that data, it ends up being what we call a scatter plot. And a scatter plot is kind of like this down here, where it just has a bunch of points all over the data. Now, some things have what we call a positive correlation, like maybe the number of miles you drive, the more time that you spend driving, that have a positive correlation, whereas a negative correlation would be the amount of money in my bank account compared to days after I get paid. And then there's some things that have no correlation at all, like maybe the number of items in your grocery cart compared to the price that you pay. Because sometimes you might just get one item and you're paying a whole lot, and sometimes you might be getting a lot of items and not really be paying that much. There's not really any correlation between those two. So positive correlations are ones that kind of go uphill like a positive slope. Negative correlations are going down, and then no correlation is when they don't go up or down, just kind of random. And these ones are not so much useful for us because you can't really draw conclusions based on those. So there's what we call a correlation coefficient. And correlation coefficient varies between -1 and +1. If the correlation coefficient, which we call R, is 0, then that is when we have an example of there's no correlation between those data points. If the correlation coefficient is at -1, it means all the data points in the correlation coefficient are going to fall exactly on a single line. So it's exactly the -1. And if the positive correlation, if there's a positive correlation coefficient of 1, that means all the data points would fall exactly on a line with a positive slope. So obviously, most of the time, we're not going to end up with something where the correlation coefficient is -1, or where it's positive ones. Most of the time, it's going to fall in between these two. So if it's kind of, going down in this direction, that's R equals to like 1/2, -1/2. Or positive, kind of spread out. It's going uphill. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is finding a line of best fit. And this is just like sketching a line of best fit. And so what you do is you want to kind of draw a line on there that has approximately the same number of points above as below. So this is going to be my line of best fit. This is just an estimate of one. And as you can see, I can have like 1, 2, 3, 4 above, 1, 2, 3, 4 below, and kind of that one right there that's on it. So if we want to then find the equation of this line, I just need to pick a couple points that's on this. So maybe I want to pick this point right here. That's the point where x is 30 and y is 10. And then another point, maybe this one here, where x is 10 and y is 20. Then I can find the slope, y2 minus y1, 20 minus 10 over 10 minus 30 gives me 10 over -20, or -1/2. Be my slope, and then looks to me like this is crossing up here about the 30 mark. So I'm going to say y is equal to -1/2 x plus 30. So there I've estimated a line of best fit. So this line we'd use to estimate or make predictions about the same data set. Alright, now if we want to get more exact than just estimating and throwing some points and drawing a line, we're going to use the calculator, and we're going to do this guided practice number 4 to kind of help us out with that. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to need to enter the data into our calculator. So you're going to say stat enter. The stat button is right here, and enter button is down here, and it's going to bring you to a screen that kind of looks like this one, except for the data will not be entered in there. And so you'll have to go through and push enter 0 and then enter, and it'll take you to the next line, 1, then enter, 2, and then enter, etc. All of those. Then select, go to the right, and it'll come up over here, and you'll enter 6660, enter, 6560, enter, and it'll put all those down in there. Now, for some reason, you have data already in there. You can push the up arrow, and it will select this, like L2 or L1, and then you push the clear button, and it will clear everything out. Clear and then enter. We'll clear everything out if there's already stuff in there. Don't hit the delete button, so clear, then enter. If you push the delete button, then it will delete that row, and you'll have to factory reset or something later. Also note, before you get started, if you want to reset your calculator back to the factory presets, you say second plus 712, and that'll take you back to your factory settings. So you'll put the X values in L1 like you see here, and the Y values in L2 like you see here. So step 2 is going to be to find that line of best fit. So to do that, you're going to push the stat button, and that's going, and then to the right, and that'll bring you to this screen right here. See how this is calculate? Then you're going to want to go down here to number 4. You can either use the down arrow and then push enter when you have that one highlighted, or you can just push the 4 and it will take you to another screen. And the next screen will have like L1 is your X's are L1, your Y's are L2, and a couple other settings, but pretty much you just want to go down to the bottom and select calculate and hit enter, and then that will take you to this screen. Notice it says y is equal to ax plus b. That's what we're used to seeing as y is equal to mx plus b, but they call that slope a in this case. They tell us that a is equal to this and b is equal to this. So that means then that our equation is going to be y is equal to negative 129.83, I'll go ahead and just round it a little bit, x plus 6701.56. So this would be our answer to part A. It says approximate a line of best fit. So this is actually more than approximating. We use our calculator to calculate that line of best fit. Okay, step 3 is going to be then to graph that data. So to graph that data, you're going to push second, and then y equals. Second, then y equals, and then you're going to push enter. So notice when you push second and y equals, you're taking you to that stat plot. The first one is going to say number 1, p, or plot 1, and then it's going to say off. Whenever you click on that, it's going to take you to a new screen, and it's going to be highlighted on the on. And you want to push enter, so that way it will be on. Then whenever you say graph, it'll take you to a screen similar to this, except that there'll be nothing on it. And there's nothing on it because our zoom doesn't match it. Because notice our x's are 0 through 8, that shows up on here, but our y's are up in the 6,000 range. So those are not going to show up. So if you want, sorry about that, if you want them to show up on your screen, push zoom, which is this button right here, and then 9, which says zoom stat. You can either go down and select 9, enter, or you can just push 9, that will say zoom stat, and it will show up here. And it will just be all the points, those little square boxes. And in that, over here, if you said second y equals enter and to plot 1, then you can change your colors of your dots and different things like that if you want, if you have a color screen. Then to enter the line, you're going to go to your y equals button, which is right here, and then you're going to enter in your equation. This is our equation from the previous page. It already has the y equals in there, so you're just going to say negative 129.83, and then the x is going to be this button right here. This is the one you use to enter in your x. Then plus 69 or 67, whatever this is, right? 0.56. Then whenever you hit graph this time, it will draw that line, and you can see that there's several points above, several points below in that line. They've done what we call linear regression. That's what that linreg stands for, to calculate the line that's going to best fit this data. Show up on your screen, The next thing you're going to do, step 4, is to make a prediction using the line you found. So what you can do is you can say second graph. The graph is right underneath the screen, like right down here. And it's going to bring you up with a list of, this table, bring you up with x's and y values. So this y value corresponds to 6, this one to the 7. Now, for part B, it says use the equation from part A to predict the daily oil production in 2009. So because it says 2009, remember these x's are years after 1994. So this is 1994, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000. So 6 is the year 2000. So we're wanting 2009. 9 more than that would be where x is equal to 15. So x equals 15. So we would just simply say 4,754.1 thousand barrels. And that is how you use your calculator to calculate a line of best fit. Your homework is on page 117. You can do 3 through 9 all, 16 through 20 all, number 3 practice problem solvings, and 5 reviews.